Welcome everyone. Today I want to discuss with you how a suit jacket should fit. We will go over the most common flaws, things you cannot alter and why, and we will go over the things you can alter and I will show you how. Stay tuned, but first, dramatic intro. Welcome back, and let's get right into the matter. This is Rupert, my mannequin, and he will assist me in this video today. We will first go over the major flaws that cannot be altered, because these are aspects you should consider when buying a suit jacket, and after that we will talk about things you can alter and I will show you how. Number one on my list, the jacket length. Well, how long should a suit jacket be? It should cover your sweet little butt cheeks. A centimeter or two, more or less, should be fine depending on which silhouette you're going for, but apart from that, you cannot alter the suit jacket length. Please don't let anyone tell you that you can alter the length of a suit jacket, because the problem is you have on every suit jacket pockets. Doesn't matter if they are flat pockets or welted pockets or even patch pockets usually have a slit in the fabric, and a hole in the fabric just means you cannot move it. So if you just alter the length like this, the pockets will stay in their position and you will probably destroy the proportions of the whole jacket. So again, make sure the suit jacket length fits you and really do not try to alter this. Number two, armscye or armhole. My recommendation here is you should choose a suit jacket with armholes that are as small as possible. Why? Because first, you cannot alter the size of an armhole, because again, it's basically a hole in the fabric and you cannot make this hole smaller. So why do I recommend small armholes? Big armholes restrict your movement, because the bigger the armhole, the lower this connection between your sleeve, your arm, and your body. So in case the armhole is very big, this means they would be connected here, and this already looks unpractical, and I will show you why it is unpractical. So I borrowed the jacket from Rupert, and as long as I keep my arms down, it looks okay, but as soon as I lift my arms, the whole jacket takes off, because of this low connection between sleeve and body. So, you know what I mean? It looks very odd. Notice how the collar takes off, which is particularly ugly. This is not how a suit jacket should fit. Sadly, there are a lot of brands that still use those huge armholes. But now, let me show you how a suit jacket should fit. Okay, I have to admit, this comparison is a bit unfair, because this is a full bespoke jacket, or the jacket part of a complete bespoke suit Sebastian Hofs made for me, but it's a great example of how small armholes can be, because these really grab me under the arm. It requires some getting used to, but in terms of movement, it's perfect. So let me demonstrate. So again, this is how a suit jacket should fit, and remember, you cannot make an armhole smaller. So when buying a suit jacket, keep in mind that the armhole should be as small as possible for your arms. Number three, shoulder width. So how broad should the shoulders of the jacket be? Well, it depends a bit on your taste. So of course, in case you're totally into the 1930s V-shape aesthetic, the shoulder padding might be a bit larger than your natural shoulders, but in general, if you're going for a more universal aesthetic, the jacket shoulders must not exceed your natural shoulders. You can check that by squeezing the jacket shoulders together. I am pressing against Rupert's natural shoulders, and as you can see, the jacket shows wrinkles which means the jacket shoulders are too big for Rupert. The other extreme is that the jacket is too narrow for you. Let me try to demonstrate here. You might see this bulge here, which means the natural shoulder of Rupert bulges out of the jacket sleeve. And this means the jacket is too narrow for you. So now the interesting question is, of course, can you alter the shoulder width? Yes and no. Yes, you can alter that, but, and this but is big.
I like big butts.
The problem here is, when you want to change the shoulder width, you need to alter the jacket in the back. You already see some markings here, we will get to that in a minute. So here you have the back seam of the jacket. And if you want to change the shoulder width, you will need to take in or let out fabric at this seam. The problem is the jacket collar is put on top. So before you can alter the seam in this area, you need to take off the collar, then take in or let out the fabric at the back seam, and then put the collar back on. The problem is here when you for example take in fabric and put the collar back on, it will be too long. Means it will be too much fabric. So what you would need to do is cut off the collar here, which is possible, but again you might destroy the suit proportions, and in case you let out fabric at the back, the collar will be too short, which is a bigger problem because you cannot magically generate more fabric in the collar. All in all, I would recommend not trying to alter the shoulder width of a suit jacket. It is possible, especially when you want the jacket to be a bit narrower. The problem is it's difficult and thus expensive to do, and you might destroy the proportions of your suit jacket at the top. Number 4, sleeve length. So depending on the actual shirt you're wearing underneath the jacket, you should always show at least a centimeter of cuff, maybe 2. And you really need to, it might be even more, but you must not hide your whole shirt cuff, and you must not at any time show your whole shirt cuff. So can you alter the length of the sleeves of a jacket? You can, but again, there's a but.
I like big.
So in this case, the suit jacket sleeves has fake buttons. You can also see that I already changed the sleeve length, and I was too lazy to put the fake buttonhole seam here on the last button. But this means there are no holes in the fabric, and you can just take the buttons off, take the seams off, alter the length of the sleeve, and then put the buttons and the seams back on. In this case here, the sleeve buttons are working buttons, so the buttonholes are actual holes. And we already noticed when talking about sleeve length or the armholes, you cannot make the hole smaller and you cannot move the hole. So in case you have a suit jacket with working buttons, this makes altering a lot more difficult, which means a lot more expensive when you go to an alterations tailor. And this is something I cannot show you here, but if you really need to alter the sleeve length when your suit jacket has working buttons, this means you will need to take in fabric here at the shoulders, which is a lot more difficult than just changing the length here at the bottom. Now, how do you alter the sleeve length? Well, it's not that difficult. You will have lining inside your sleeve, and you will have to open this sleeve lining. In this case, there is also already a seam that is not blind stitched or turn stitched, I would say. So you just need to open the seam, then go to the end of the sleeve here, maybe unpick 1 or 2 more seams so you can move, the edge freely here. I really recommend using basting thread to adjust the length and fix it, because you need to you need to be really precise here. Otherwise you will get a bumpy edge, and this will look very odd. So just change the length, again secure it with some stitches inside, press it really good. And as you can see here, my problem was I did have enough fabric for lengthening the sleeve, but I did not have enough lining fabric. So I added a strip here of my own lining fabric to cover this gap. So I hope this was detailed enough so you can at least get the idea of how to alter the sleeve of your jacket. Number 5, jacket circumference. So if your suit jacket is a bit loose in this area, it's okay. So it's really a question of taste whether you want a loose fit, for example, a boxy look or a 1960s, remotely boxy look, or if you want to have a nipped in waist at the jacket. What you really want to avoid is stretch marks in the front because your suit jacket might be too small for you. So how can you alter the jacket circumference? That's relatively easy. You do have 3 seams that you might want to take in or let out fabric to make your jacket tighter or more loose. You have 2 seams here at the sides and you have the back seam. I will show you how I took fabric in at the back seam here so it gets a nice curve in the back. I already marked the waistline here. This is really important. I used basting thread, and the next step would be to open the lining of the jacket in the back. So take your unstitcher. This is the back seam of the jacket lining, and unpick the seam here in the middle. I already did that. And then here on the inside, I can see my basting thread, which marked where my waistline is. And this is basically the point where you want to let out or take in the most fabric, but maximum 1 centimeter. So do not let out or take in more than 1 centimeter because this might distort the back seam. And I will show you how later on. You see 3 colorful threads here. The red one in the middle is where the old seam was. The yellow one is the seam I put there after that to take in fabric. It's 1 centimeter away from the old seam. The green thread is where you would want to put the seam in case you want to let out fabric to make the fit more loose. Very important is, again, you need to take in or let out the most fabric here at the waistline. You can also see that the seam allowance really restricts how much fabric you can let out to make the fit more loose. And something that is also very, very important is that you will need to make a really smooth transition at the bottom back to the existing seam, because you really don't want to alter the seam right down to the bottom, which will lead to even more alterations. And if you would alter the seam all the way up to the top, you will have this shoulder width collar topic again. After you've put your new seam in there, remember to also unstitch the old seam. Sew the lining back together with a blind stitch. I will put a link in the video description how to blind stitch. And in the end, you might have a really nice curve here at the sides in case you altered the side seams, or a really nice curve here at the back in case you altered the back seam. And maybe you can see that I do have slight wrinkles here at the back. This is because I didn't make the transition from the new seam to the old seam as smooth as I should have done. So I distorted the fit a little bit. I will correct that later on, but well, for now I'm too lazy. Sorry. Number 6 and final point for today, shoulder line. So this is a summer jacket, completely unlined and unstructured. And while this is cool for summer because it is unlined and unstructured and keeps you cooler than the tweed jacket I put on Rupert before, the problem with unstructured and unlined suit jackets is you can see all the fit flaws more prominently than on garments that are heavily structured, made from fabrics that have a lot more drape. So you still might ask, what is the problem with this suit jacket? Well, with Rupert there is no problem, but let me put on the jacket. And now you might see at my shoulders what the problem is. I do have lower shoulders than Rupert. Rupert has a quite horizontal shoulder line, and most suit jackets are tailored for men that have a quite horizontal shoulder line. But in case you're like born with low shoulders, have a bad posture, I do have a bad posture, or hit the gym a lot, I do not, then you might have these low shoulders, and this will result in these wrinkles here at the shoulders. And maybe on a heavily structured garment like the tweed jacket I have shown you before, you might even see those wrinkles because you have like heavy shoulder padding here, which will take out all the wrinkles, or interfacing, horsehair interfacing, that will like smooth out those wrinkles. But in this case, this suit jacket again is completely unstructured, so you can see these wrinkles here at the shoulders. So the question is, can you alter that? And the good thing is you can quite easily fix this problem. How? Well, you need to correct your shoulder line by adding some more shoulder padding. So I got these at Walmart actually. You can get shoulder pads in pretty much every household store, I don't know. It's not perfect, but because I would need to put them in, secure them in the right position with some stitches, but you might see it's already a huge improvement. And technically you would of course open the lining in case you have a suit jacket that is lined, put the padding inside, secure it with some stitching, and in this case there is no lining, so I could just put them in there and secure them with some stitches. I'm repeating myself, but this is the way you could correct low shoulders to fit in a suit jacket that is made for a more horizontal shoulder line. Et voila, the 6 most common fit flaws in a suit jacket. I really hope this video helped with fit flaws you might have in your suit jacket. In case you try out my suggestions from this video, please post them on Instagram and tag me, because I'm really curious. Thanks by the way, and now I have to cheat a bit. Thanks to Benjamin, Rutger, Alex, Pauli, Levan, Evan and Martin for buying me coffee. In case you also want to support my work, there is a link in the video description where you can buy me a coffee, which is really helpful, because I don't drink coffee that much, but I run on caffeine. Yeah, thanks in advance, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon, hopefully.